Hello and welcome to our new tutorial. Today we are going to see everything you need to know to get the Ultimate Lights mixer working. To make it visible after installing it, choose Windows ULM. Then the window console will appear, and let's delete everything that's in the demo version. So we start with a brand new mixer. So I delete all the tracks and all the channels. Okay, now we can create our own and new lights mix. At the bottom left corner you will be able to see a check mark. With this check mark you can alternate between channels and tracks view. We're going to need it later. And now let's start a new scene. Let's make a sphere and a light. So we can have a emissive material and a light that will be controlled by the console. All the Unity default lights are compatible with the console, but for the emissive materials you will need a special shader that's included in the assets. So you just have to apply the included materials. You will find it on the materials folder, and you have a lit and unlit option. You have to have in mind that if you use the unlit option, you will control just the emission. You won't have any texture or base color. So if you want something more realistic or more complex, don't use the unlit version, because in that way you just can't control the lightness of the material or the emission. Then I will also going to make a floor here to see the light better. I will also deactivate the directional light, the one that comes by default in a new scene. Then I will also need an empty object, because inside I'm going to place the transmitter for the console. That's the script in charge of the communication between the console and the objects that are going to be controlled. You just have to put it on the scene and don't have to do anything else with the script. If we don't have the script on the scene, the console won't affect anything. Then I'm going to change the name of the channels. I'm going to name it roof lights. So here I could have, for example, all the roof lights reacting together. Then I'm going to create a light track that I can call in the game later. For example, an alarm. So when this alarm is triggered, all the lights will react together, and I can name it there. But first I'm going to change the material of the emissive object to lit material, so I can have also a base color. You can change these shaders if you want, so you can have more complex textures. You can add every node you need, but don't delete the properties, otherwise it won't work properly. But right now we're going to keep it simple, and as base color I'm going to choose a dark red, and for the emission I'm going to leave it off, because I want it to be turned on just in the alarm. And I'm also affecting the default state, and I want it to be without any light, so turned off by default. Now we have to tell the light and the sphere that are going to be controlled in the roof lights channel by the console. And to do it is very simple. In this case we just have to select both objects and then add it with the Add Selected Objects button. Then a script will be automatically added to the selected objects if they are compatible. First I'm going to choose a red color for the alarm. And now if we go to the objects, you will see the script light controller, and in the script you can see on which channels they are associated. In this case is roof lights, and here you can see the material with the default options. And the red will be brighter when the alarm is triggered, and the signal is going to come from the transmitter. Let's make a quick test. Okay, now we can see both are becoming bright red, and if I test the all lights to default channel, they're going to be back to the default state. So far everything is working, and now I'm going to show you how to add a new track for a new light code, for example, a warning. I'm going to make the warning yellow so it doesn't look so dangerous like the alarm. And now let's make a quick test. Okay, when we have a warning triggered, it's going to be yellow or red or default. And now I would like to show you some effects that we can make with the console so we can have a bit more fun with lights. First, I'm going to move the first one to the roof, so they are according to their names, and I'm going to duplicate them to have more lights. The new lights, I'm going to group it in a new channel because I want they to have a different behavior. So I'm going to create a floor lights channel because they are on the floor. Now if I press unselected objects, the new objects are going to be associated to the floor lights channel because it's the active channel, and we can check it on the script. Now I can choose a new behavior for these light tracks on this new channel. So in the alarm I want it to be orange, and in the warning I'm going to make a color cycle effect. Let's make a test and we're going to see the difference. If we have a warning, these lights are going to change colors between the complete color cycle. I'm going to make the color cycle a bit faster. We can change the intensity if we need it, so we can see the changes more smooth. So you can see the flexibility of the effects, and you can tweak every important parameter to make it look like you want. Now let's change the view so we can see all the channels together. Let's click the check mark, view channels per track, and we see both the channels together in the alarm or in the warning track. And that would make easier to visualize the next effect that we are going to apply, and it's called sine wave. This effect will make the intensity of the light oscillate between 0 and the value we choose smoothly. You can see it in action now, going on and off. We can control the speed and the phase of the wave if we want to coordinate many lights. We already saw the color cycle, and we can control the speed too. The malfunction effect is similar as the sine wave, but the waves are random, so it looks like a broken light, and we can tweak it by moving the speed and the intensity. And with these two parameters, we can make it look more broken in the way we want. The next effect that I would like to show you is the fade effect. And what it does is transition from the previous color of the light to the selected one. For example, if the previous color is orange and the next one is blue, when we transition, it's gonna fade between the two colors and also between the two intensities. The back to default effect will make the selected channel go back to the default state as we set up on the scene, and the track all channels to default will make all the channels go back to the default state. Okay, we already know how to test our color setups, but you may be wondering, how do we use it in our game? For that, we have two options. The first one is very simple and we don't need any code. We create an empty object. We're going to call it a light trigger, and we add this script light trigger. You can find it on the script folder. On this object, we need a collider in trigger mode. So when the player enters on this trigger, we'll activate the selected track. In this case is alarm, but we can change it to any track we have created with the slider. I'm going to reset the position of this object. We can see it better. Now we can control the size of the trigger by changing the box collider options on this case, and that's where the light is going to be activated on the track we choose. And don't forget to tag the player or the object that it's going to activate the lights and write it in the trigger tag. Another way we have to call the light tracks is by using this code. This is going to call an action event. That's very easy to integrate within any part of our code whenever and however we want. And inside the parentheses, we just have to write the track we want to call. Now let's see a real example in a real game. Now it's triggering an alarm that's reacting to a fire on this ship. So when the fire stays for 2 seconds, the alarm is triggered. We can see the fire right there, and it's calling an event with the light track. Now, if we pick the extinguisher, and we have to use a key to enter here. By the way, this is the game I'm making that motivated the creation of the light mixer, because I want the ship to have different light behaviors depending on what's happening there. Now we have to turn the fire off, and when we do it, all the lights are going back to the default mode. The alarm will be gone. Okay, we are back in default mode. Another way we can integrate it, the light mixer, is in a user interface, like here on the screen. I made a button, and here I can change all the colors of the ship with one click, because I'm calling a light track that is affecting the emissive materials of the ship and the lights. So these are 2 examples, but you can integrate the light mixer in many ways. You can use your creativity to find new ways and create amazing light effects. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see new tutorials, and if you're interested in the ultimate light mixer, you will find the link on the video description.